Why should we go into space? What is the justification for spending all that effort and money on getting a few lumps of moon rock? Aren't there better causes here on Earth? In a way, the situation is like that in Europe before 1492. People might well have argued that it was a waste of money to send Columbus on a wild goose chase. Yet the discovery of the New World made a profound difference to the old. Just think, we wouldn't have had the Big Mac or KFC. Spreading out into space will have an even greater effect. It will completely change the future of the human race and maybe determine whether we have any future at all.
This is really vital because through depletion of the ozone layer, through global warming, through runoff of topsoil, and in many other ways, the environment that supports our species is in danger. And it's most important to know what's happening with a global perspective, and you can only get that from orbital altitudes. Then there are satellites, robot satellites, that look out, that, for example, examine the decaying fires from the Big Bang, the event that began the universe, or at least its most recent incarnation, about 15 billion years ago. The study of distant stars and galaxies, approaches that help us to answer questions about where this universe came from and where it's going, what its nature may be. Every human culture, one way or another, has tried to understand that. Here we are at the first time in history when we really have the means of finding out. I think you have to be made of wood not to be at least a little bit interested in it.
I'm not going to tell you we should go to the moon. No. What I'm going to say is that highly ambitious exercises conducted by governments exhibit huge force on the ambitions of a nation, on the creativity of a nation, on the innovations of a nation. There it is. There's a future. And you see this. And you don't even have to be interested in space. You just have to be interested in the fact that new frontiers are being breached, and it's possible to do so. And then it gets infused into your goals, into your trajectory of life. So I'm offering space exploration, be it the moon, Mars, beyond, doesn't matter. But if you go into space, it is adventurous. It is, you have to invent stuff to make that. If you're advancing a frontier, you're gonna have to invent something, because you can't just use off-the-shelf things. You're gonna have to use and invent things that have never been used or invented before. That takes ingenuity, innovation, clever engineers, scientists working together. If you can find another way to infuse an entire nation, even the world, with ambitions of tomorrow that'll trigger innovations of today, thereby assuring a future of health, wealth, and security, because that's coming from technology. It's not coming from any other branch of human existence, but science and technology are going to give us tomorrow's health, wealth, and security. I'm simply offering the exploration of the universe as a force of nature operating on our innovations, on our urge to innovate.
I just want you to understand what is at stake. If we could launch a mission to Europa, if we could find evidence of water on Mars, evidence of living things that were once on Mars, let's say layers of bacterial mats, like we find in Australia, for example, it would, dare I say it, change the world. It would change the world. It would change the way everyone feels about his or her place in the universe, about what I like to call our place in space. But we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity. We are the first generation of humans who could send a mission to these extraordinary places and look for signs of life. Now, we cannot go there ourselves right now because it's too difficult. The distances are too long. And people will say, I meet many people and say, well, why do you want to mount these missions? What are you going to discover out there? What are you looking for? We don't know, that's why we're looking. In the case of Europa, it might be 2 years, but it might be 6 or 10 or 12. And so to mount these missions takes long-term planning, it takes thought, it takes believing that the future is going to be bright. It's believing in things that we can accomplish that have never been done before. And I can't speak about this strongly enough. If you are going to plan a mission to Europa, you're going to be planning it and executing it for at least 10 years. Now, how many people are in college now?